לעירך הויזיך לארצך. Welcome to the Shul on the beach. וששון לעירך וצמיחה Come join us. softly. Nai, 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 nai. L'chaim. Let's begin. We're late already.
We're just getting into it.
Come on, man. We're bringing it.
We'll do a niggin in the middle.
No problem.
And the l'chaim.
We'll do many l'chaims in the middle. So,
Pesach's over.
yeah, it's just something that needs to experience in every generation and every single day, as the Alter Rebbe and Reb Nosson apparently says. But yeah, it's over. It's over. So, guys, who knows Putin? Raise their hand.
I know Putin.
Who knows Putin?
I know Putin.
You know Putin?
Jello Putin.
Don't like them Putin.
Are you sure you're not putting me on?
Gewaltig. So Putin comes to President Putin. He comes to a classroom in Russia, and he walks in to these teenagers and he says, "Guys, I'm here. I feel like we don't understand each other all the time, and I want more of an open dialogue. Tell me, ask me anything in the world, anything, any question you have, anything you're unsure about. Tell me about the government, about the society. Talk to me. I want you to be open. Feel free. Don't hold back. Ask me anything you want." So this one girl, Sasha, raises her hand. Says, "Okay, Mr. Putin, President, I was wondering, why is it that you felt the need to invade Crimea and Ukraine and cause a whole problem there? Like that was bad for our country, you know? Like, why did you do this?"
Genius move.
And all of a sudden, right as Putin's about to answer, the bell rings, and it says, "Okay, lunchtime, recess, whatever. Come back." And he says, Putin says again, "Okay, guys, please, anyone who has any question, please feel free, ask me. I'm here to answer your questions." So there's one guy, Alex, I guess Sasha is Alex. So there's one guy, Yadgarov, raises his hand, and he says, "Yeah, Mr. Yadgarov, please." And he says, "Yeah, I have a few questions, Mr. Putin, President. Why did you invade Crimea? And why did the lunch bell ring 20 minutes early? And what did you do with Sasha?" So we are right now in the time of the year we're starting a new chapter. In the Torah, Nisan, this month of Nisan of Pesach, is the first month of the year. There's such a newness that's happening because this is where we became a people. This is where we left Egypt. We already left our bad. We left all those things that were holding us back from being our best. We had such orot, such lights we had on Pesach that got us, sort of opened us up to something beautiful. So we know, like we said a little bit before, Pesach is not something that happened once. The whole story of Pesach is something that is constantly happening in every moment. Every single day, we experience the story of Pesach. So, in a nutshell, very concisely, we were slaves in Egypt. Through these 10 plagues and awesome miracles and the splitting of the Red Sea, it says when we crossed across the Red Sea. Each of us, even the maidservants, everyone got prophecy like the greatest prophets, greater than the prophet Yechezkel. And it was just this unbelievable time. Now, the interesting thing is, what's the first thing that happens as soon as we cross the Red Sea? After we sang and we had the Az Yasher, it was amazing. Thank you, God, for saving us, making us free people with these awesome miracles. You split the Red Sea for us. And then what do the Jews do?
Golden calf, idolatry.
Close, bro, close. They start complaining.
That's right.
Well, we don't have water. We don't have bread. What are we going to do? And the whole story of Mara and everything. So what happened to those great lights that we had on Pesach? Did we just forget? What happened? I don't know. We forgot them, but we experienced prophecy. Each of us. Did you and I experience prophecy? You experienced prophecy. You experienced the greatest miracles, and all of a sudden you're complaining. They go through this darkness. They go through this thing, and 49, 50 days later, finally, they reach the epitome where it's not even prophecy anymore. Shavuot, where we stood at Mount Sinai, that moment where God basically tore heavens and earth apart and said, "Here I am, this is me," and He showed Himself to all of us. We all know that it says that we heard the first 2 commandments from God Himself, but we couldn't take it anymore. We said, "Moshe, we're like going out of our vessels here. So please, you tell us the rest." But so they explain, what does it mean that we couldn't handle it anymore? Because we're getting a revelation of God. God Himself is staring us in the face, whatever that means, and is talking to us. It was such an awesome moment of shattering of reality as we knew it, that our souls just left our bodies. With every commandment, their soul just boom, going up. And some say it was every word Hashem says, right? Our soul was in such ecstasy that it was hearing the voice of God, and it just went to its creator. It was like an attraction, like a magnet. Boom. You hear. Some say that we only heard the first word. We only heard Anochi, I. And we heard Anochi, and that was such an amazing, awesome moment that God Himself saying, "I, Anochi," that our souls left in ecstasy. And some say we didn't even hear Anochi. All we heard was the Ah of Anochi. And the Ah of hearing God Himself. That revelation was just so awesome that we just went in ecstatic rapture. We couldn't handle it. So this is something, this process of having this initial light, this initial clarity and awareness, to going into the depths of darkness and confusion, to ultimately, slowly achieving Mount Sinai, achieving the complete and infinite revelation. Right? Like we know that was the revelation that stays forever, because not one letter of the Torah has changed since that day. In fact, if any one letter is a little bit off, either you have to bury it or start over, or you know what I mean? It's like that was an eternal moment. So I really mean it. Like, first of all, guys, l'chaim. This is not just some story that, it happened. Awesome. But everything in the Torah is relevant to us at every moment. So this story of leaving Egypt, and where the tzaddikim say that our teachers say that it's something you have to think about it every day. It's something you experience every day. It's everywhere. Now think about this. Imagine a marriage. What's the first thing a couple does when they get married?
Hug each other?
What's the
Get a house.
okay, let's call it the second week of the marriage. After you get married, 2 weeks later, you go on a honeymoon. And what do they call that whole time, that first few months?
Phase.
The honeymoon phase. the honey phase, the honeymoon phase. And it's this, I'm just lost in a rapturous love for you, and I've never felt so happy and complete and good, and my heart is longing for you in the deepest way. And then they get back from the honeymoon or from the honeymoon phase, and all of a sudden, they're like, have to debate if I really want to run my wife over behind me, but now there's like cameras, so you like can't, because they'll never get away with it. Because like you get on each other's nerves. And now it's not about anymore about feeling that love. It's about, honey, can you take out the trash? Like, imagine, like guys like, honey, can you take out, wife says to her husband, honey, can you take out the trash? It's like, honey, I love you so much. I love you so much. No, thank you. Anyway, he's like, what else is on TV? She's like, excuse me? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, honey, I said I love you. Why'd you need me to take out She's like, you don't love me. She started crying. You don't love me anymore. What's wrong with you? We like 2 months ago we got married and now you're like ignoring me. Like, honey, what do you mean I love you? What does taking out the trash have anything to do with how much I love you? Because if you really love the person, you're ready to jump on every little thing you can do for them. And it's not about taking out the trash. It's like an expression of your love for them, right? And basically, it's not about that fiery passion anymore. It's about those small things you do for each other. It's about being able to give over of yourself and say, it's not about me right now. It's about you, and it's about being selfless, and it's hard as heck to do it, as I've heard from many people. And they go through this time of the Omer. Right now is the time of the Omer. You have Pesach, you have the 50 days, the 49 days of the Omer, and then you have Shavuot. You have that initial light, then you lose the light, and you're like in darkness, and you're working, you're trying to work on you're trying to do things, and then you have that ultimate love and peace, right? That Shavuot, that Mount Sinai, that ultimate infinite light. And everything, if you think about it, everything goes through the cycle. So we said marriages. You have the honeymoon stage, you have the part where your mom is just like struggling to survive, and then you have what comes after that is this love that's not finite. Because if you really think about it on some level, why did you really love the person? Why were you so in love and so like googly eyes over each other? In many ways, it was very selfish. Because they made you happy. They made you feel good about yourself. They made you feel loved. They made you feel not lonely anymore. So you didn't really love them. You loved yourself. But because they made you feel good, so you love them. But once you go through the whole process of giving and slowly, and by the way, there's an extra jacket if anyone needs. Once you go through the process of slowly giving and being selfless, because we know ahava means love, and we all know this. Ahava comes from the word hav, which means to give. The reason parents love the children so much. Okay, there's another example. So you have children. They're just born, you're like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the freaking universe. I'm so happy, she's so beautiful. Mashiach is here. Guys, Mashiach is here. My baby's Mashiach. My wife gave birth to Mashiach. And then it's, I haven't slept in a week, man. Don't have kids, go on a trip, enjoy yourself, like, it's crazy. Like, David has 6 kids, he'll tell you it's not easy all the time. It's not easy. In the beginning, it's so... he's aiming at it himself. In the beginning, it's easy because it's so... They're just there. They're lying there. They're sleeping the whole day anyway. What do you have to work? But you love yourself. You don't love them. Then you start giving and giving and giving. And the crazy thing is, you'll say, oh, you must hate this person who doesn't give you anything, who's just taking all day. You must hate them. No. The parents love the child more than they could ever love themselves because they've given to them so much. So, and it's one with them, and eventually what happens with children, then you see them, they'll start praying a little bit, they'll start learning a little bit, you'll give them some money to go to the arcade, and maybe they'll take one of the dollars and give it to charity. Thanks, bro. There's all of a sudden, you have the initial light, then you lose it and you're in this darkness, and then all of a sudden, boom, you have Mount Sinai again. You have I'm so proud. How could I cannot? And it's not a and it's just this joy that's so infinite. Anyway, there's so many examples. You know, imagine reading a book. Anybody loves opening a new book. I like every week I go buy like 3 books on Amazon and I read the first 3 pages. I skip the introduction because that's boring. Then I read 3 pages of the first chapter and I'm like, wow, this is cool. And then I'll open it again and then I'll see it on the shelf like 3 months later. I haven't even touched it. Because the beginning is so sweet. The beginning is so nice. But once you have to get in the nitty gritty and actually think about what it's saying and work on it and try to understand, and you're in that dark place, you can't go on. It's too hard. But those few books that you actually do finish, right? Those few books that you do finish, how good do you feel? Like, wow, I spent, these couple weeks really focusing on this book and I got something out of it and I read it and I feel accomplished. And guys, last but not least, but it's the same with our own spiritual and personal growth. In the beginning, we have a Pesach moment. In the beginning, we start coming close, we start connecting, we start going to class, and you're like, whoa, I'm freaking studying finance all day. All of a sudden, you're talking about a soul, you're talking about real things, you're talking about my heart, you're talking about depth. This is what I needed, this is amazing. And you start slowly praying and working on yourself and Shabbat and being kosher and everything makes so much sense and it's so beautiful and you're just so connected. And then 2 years later, God forbid, all of a sudden, you're like, how did I even get here? Shabbat all of a sudden used to be the most beautiful thing in the world, and now it's this, I can't use my phone, I can't watch my movie, all the things, you start thinking, and it's hard all of a sudden.
It's hard for you to even relate to someone who can't appreciate Shabbat.
It's hard all of a sudden. You're in this dark place, you lost that light that God gave you in the beginning. You're in the time of the Omer. And it's one Shabbat at a time. It used to be like I used to wake up at like 1 a.m, run to the synagogue, learn for 5 hours. It was so beautiful, so awesome. And now I can barely put on my tefillin before work. But then what happens when you really keep at it? And I'm a body, but I'm also a soul within a body. And even if my body right now is uncomfortable, my body doesn't wants to sleep 10 minutes more, but my soul is dying to get up. And you reach deep in your soul, and you keep going at it. Like Rabbi Nachman said, you want to serve God, you need one thing. Akshanut. You need to be stubborn. You need to be stubborn in serving God. You can't just serve God and think it's going to be all easy peasy. It's not. Anything meaningful is not easy. Anyone can go to the liquor store, buy a bottle of scotch, buy a lottery ticket, and hope they'll become millionaires. But to work and to think and to brainstorm and to be creative and to start a new business, that's hard. But in the end, it's so meaningful. So the question is, where is this light coming from? Where does the beginning light come from? What is this whole process? It's from God. Hashem wants you to have a relationship with Him. He didn't create you for no reason. He wants you to do something in this world awesome. He wants you to transform this place. So He gives us that initial light that we'll be able to taste and we'll say, oh my God, this is incredible, I want more, we'll go. If God is giving it to us in the first place, then why take it away? Why do we need to go through the process? Why can't we just be leaving Egypt, being on the highest spiritual level, in joy of just appreciating the light? Why does God have to take away the light? Why do you have to go through the process of darkness to ultimately get to Mount Sinai on that metaphorical level? Why do you need that? Why couldn't we just keep the light the way we had it before? So, in this week's Parsha, by the way, you guys should all know this quick little story. Someone came to the Alter Rebbe and they said, Rebbe, What's wrong with you? You can look at the way you dress. You're like living 1,000 years ago. Be today, be modern, live with the times. So what did he say? My holy brother, I don't know what you're talking about, but I live with the times. Last week was Bereshit, this is Noach, next week is Lech Lecha. I live with the Parsha of the week, I live with the times more than you know. So this week's Parsha is Shmini, all the laws of kashrut, of being kosher, right? So, what are the 2 laws for a kosher animal? Split hooves, right? Split hooves and regurgitate its cud. It eats, then has like 6 stomachs, it digests, out and in, and digesting, you know, eventually it digests.
We'll eat grass. I can't eat grass.
So the question is,
Makes life simple.
the question is, if everything is made, right? We're saying the Torah is so relevant to all of us on every level, physically, psychologically, spiritually, emotionally. So what's the psychological, spiritual meaning behind split hooves and regurgitating its cud? What are we getting? What can we learn from that on our own personal level? Are you running? So this guy is walking down the street. This guy's walking down the street and he sees this guy who he thinks is his lost long friend from like 10 years old. And he's like, Jack? And the guy looks at him and he's like, whoa, Jack, you've changed a lot. You used to be like thin, you're like fat, round cheeks. Oh my God, your like hair's going so gray. I mean, I saw a picture of you. You looked like you had black hair. What happened to you? And you're even like a few inches shorter than you were when you were 10. Like, what's... And he's like, sorry, man, my name's not Jack. And he's like, what? You changed your name? So, the problem with today, there are great things and bad things. The great thing is that everything's with the touch of a button. We get what we want. There's Postmates, there's at-home massages, there's all your friends on Facebook. There's everything with, as soon as you want it, you got it. And the idea that we can change and we can work on ourselves. What? People, I mean, literally, you raise a kid today, at least we didn't know iPhones till we were, you know, later in life, in like college. Kids being raised today, that their whole thing is like easy. Everything is easy. So you want me to change? You want me to work on myself? The whole idea is crazy. I have to like skip some things because it's started a little bit late, but the point is like this. So the big question everybody asks is, why did God create the world? God is infinite, God is perfect, God is all light and all good and amazing. He's everything. He's everything. And he has to create a world with people where you look around, you see bricks, you see tables, you don't see God. He had to create such a dark, finite, physical world with us, with our passions, our cravings, which are sometimes not so positive and a bit negative. Why? Why did God create the freaking world?
You have someone to
So-
give to.
Oh? Ramchal style. Emes. Emes. You give to someone, right? Emet. True that.
Have a relationship.
A relationship. You give in a relationship.
It's like, why do you need to get married?
Good Torahs, bro. Really good.
God needed to get married. So he
God
created
needed
the
to get
world.
married, so he created a world, right? So, olam comes from the word ha'elem. Olam in Hebrew means world. Ha'elem means hidden. So the very fact that there's a world means that there's hiddenness. So why did God create this hidden world? Because God is perfect in His abode, in His infiniteness, in His perfection. But He's hidden here. He creates a hidden world, a dark world, a world where our soul is not the most important thing in life. Our body all of a sudden becomes. And God wants in that level, in that place, that we shine a light and we reveal the actual truth of the world. That we unmask, unveil the hiddenness and show it for what it really is, a spark of revelation of God Himself. So, I was thinking, I mean, it's not my idea, but, you know, when we left Egypt, there was this thing called miracles. What's a miracle? Okay, you'll say, okay, what's a miracle? What's a miracle?
The word nes means banner or sign, right?
Nes can also mean banner.
To go beyond nature.
To go beyond nature. So something beyond nature happens in the world. And that didn't make sense according to the rational laws of physics and science, and that's a miracle. What is it? What's happening? What happens when there's a miracle? When you see that there's something more to this world, or than just this world.
It becomes a sign.
Emet, it becomes like a sign. You start to see in the darkness, in the hiddenness, in the ha'alam, in the olam, you see something that transcends the olam. It's like we're so dark, we're in complete darkness, and all of a sudden, there's a little ray of light, a shining. All of a sudden, it's not so dark anymore. All of a sudden, the truth is revealed a little bit. So Nes in Hebrew means miracle. In Hebrew, the word nisayon, which is the two-letter root of nisayon, is nes. Nisayon means a test. And the crazy thing is, what's a test? A test, I'll just throw one out because there's all these, we kind of all come up with the idea of a test. But let's say, you know, you're walking down the street and you're really hungry. All of a sudden you see a guy on the street asking for money. And you only have $5. So either you're getting the burger from Jeff's or he's getting the burger from Jeff's. So what's nature? Nature is, I gotta worry about myself. I gotta feed my stomach. I'm hungry. The next guy will give it to him. That's what nature will say. I worked for this money. I deserve it. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna feed myself. So what's the test? Not even that you're required. But maybe there's this guy who hasn't eaten in 3 days and will benefit so much from those $5, and you'll be giving him his first meal.
And you just came for a big breakfast?
Or at least you're going to one after? For the Mishnah?
It's going beyond nature.
You go beyond your nature. A nisayon is a nes. It's a miracle. It's a miracle because you, according to the people who say there's, God forbid, there's no God. We live in a physical, finite world, a Darwinian existence where you have to worry about yourself and that's it. But the crazy thing is that even though all of existence, that's true, the human being was endowed with the vision of God Himself, meaning that you can overcome your own nature and be a miracle. At that moment where you overcome your nature and you pass the nisayon, you just made a nes for yourself and you shone a light so deep within your own soul. Because deep down, you know, they say, why do they bury mother-in-laws so deep underground? Because deep down, she's a good woman. Deep down, you're a piece of God Himself. Deep down, you're so good. And those moments where you pass that test, that's where it becomes revealed. So now we can answer our question. What's the meaning of the split hoof? What's the meaning of regurgitating its cud? Split hoof means, imagine you're walking and you come to this. What's this called? You're walking and you come here. Fork in the road. You have to make a decision. Am I going to go left? Am I going to go right? You have to make this decision. And sometimes it's so clear. Obviously I'm going left. I have to go left. Imagine you come to the fork in the road and there's your hamburger on the left and there's the poor man's hamburger on the right, which way do you go? Well, my body says, I really want to go left. But your soul is like, you'll eat in an hour, man. This guy might not. Give it to him. And all of a sudden, you're torn. And you come to that split in the road. And the question is, are you going to do what you want? Or are you going to do what your soul is screaming out to you to do? Are you going to do what's right, regardless of the situation? Or are you going to do what you want, regardless of the situation? Meaning, if what you want to do is the right thing, you'll do it. And if what you want is the wrong thing, you'll also do it. Or are you really able to go beyond, transcend yourself, to stand at the face of the fork in the road at that test and say, I'm going to be a miracle. I'm going to go beyond nature. I'm going to do something that my soul, and reveal my soul at this moment. So that's what the fork, the split hoof, and you eat an animal that has a split hoof, you get that strength to be able to stand at the fork in the road and make the right decision. Then there's the other thing. It regurgitates its cud. Do you know some people, they're so satisfied and happy exactly where they are. And I was talking to Mike, we're talking a couple nights ago. Imagine that guy who's so wealthy, who never had a struggle in his life, he inherited all his money, he has everything money can buy. And he thinks, that's it, I'm happy where I am. This is what it is. This is what I want. So
Amen.
chewing your cud means that you're always questioning, that you're always analyzing yourself and looking within yourself and saying, am I my best? Am I ignoring my body? Am I focusing too much on my soul and ignoring my body? Am I ignoring my soul and focusing too much on my body? Am I a complete human being? Can I be better? Can I work on something? Regurgitating the cud means you look at your false beliefs or your beliefs and analyze, is this right? Am I going the right way? Am I my best? You know, imagine the person who's so depressed. Maybe he made some mistake and he's so depressed, he's crying. And I mean, I've had this. I don't know if you guys have had this. I'm like crying on the floor. I'm the worst person in the entire world. Is that true? Are you the worst person in the entire world that you have to be crying on the floor? Is it something that you really can't fix? Is God looking at you? What did I do creating that person? Or does God believe in you despite your mistakes? Because the fact that you're alive right now means that God in His infiniteness believes in you. Because if He wasn't thinking about you and creating you at this moment, you wouldn't be here. So the fact that we're here and we're alive and we're given life, the gift, it's such a freaking gift to be alive. To be entrusted with this mission of transforming the world into a beautiful, selfless, good place. Even if you messed up, the fact that you're breathing right now means that you're supposed to be breathing, and don't think for a second that it's over. The idea of the cud is to always be changing, always be growing. And always be thinking about, I did this, do I want different results? Because it says the crazy person, the insane person, does something, sees a result, and he wants a different result, you got to put in a different equation. You keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. This blonde, thank God there are no blonde women here right now. This blonde woman goes to see her doctor, and the doctor sees both her ears are mamish burned off. And he's like, whoa, what happened? She says, doctor, I don't know, I was ironing and the phone rang and I didn't think, I picked up the iron and it burned my ear. And he's like, what about the other ear? They called back. Right? Like, you have to be willing to look at yourself and challenge yourself and to change. Rabbi Nachman said this thing over and over again, and his student Rabbi Nassan said it over and over again, and it's a crazy thing to say. He says, Asur lihiyot zaken. Asur, you're forbidden to be old. It's forbidden to be old. Well, I'm old. He's not talking about in years, obviously. It's forbidden to be old in the sense you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's forbidden to be old in the sense that you look at yourself and you feel like you can't change, you can't grow, you can't question, you can't develop, that you're happy with where you are. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said, something that's alive by definition means that it's growing. The moment something stops growing and developing, that's the end. It's not about how old you are. It's about your willingness to start over and to strengthen yourself all over again. So guys, I'll just say one more idea and then say a story. So let's answer the question we asked in the beginning. So great, we have Passover, we have that initial light. Then we have the time of the Omer. That time of darkness, the time of slow growth, slowly, painfully even sometimes working on yourself. And then you have Mount Sinai, then you have that ultimate infinite revelation. So why does God punish us and make us go through that time of darkness? Why can't we just have that honeymoon phase with our wife and enjoy it our whole lives? Why do we need to go through that? And the answer, very simply, is because Hashem, that infinite being we call God, that the creator of the universe, loves you so much. And because he loves you so much, he has to make it dark, pitch black. Imagine a mother who's teaching her baby how to walk. So she'll pick up her hands, and this is an analogy of the Baal Shem Tov. She takes the baby's hands, and the baby starts walking, And all of a sudden, when the baby has her balance, the mom lets go, takes a step back, and the baby's like, whoa, this is not okay. Why did you let me go? This is not cool. And it's like, okay, it does its every effort and takes one step and falls. And the mom picks it up and says, okay, come. And finally it makes a step and doesn't fall, and the mom takes another step back. It's like, what? Is this the cruelest mom in the world? How could you leave me alone? How could you do that to me? The baby's crying, right? No, the mother loves the baby so much. She wants her daughter to be able to walk on her own. Because she loves her not for herself, she loves her for her. And she knows that she'll only be her best, if she's able to walk on her own. So God gives us those dark moments in order to teach us how to walk. Imagine a husband and wife who were on their honeymoon their whole lives. They would never really love each other because they never had to work for it. It's like, imagine Einstein and a 5-year-old kid. Let's say the 5-year-old kid had amazing memory, could remember every single word Einstein said. And Einstein teaches him the theory of relativity. And he remembers every word. And he can repeat it back to you. Does he get it? Does he understand physics? Nothing. He only knows what they said. Then he has to go step by step and break his mind over understanding slowly as he grows up. What does theory of relativity really mean? Then once he gets it and he's gone through the struggle of trying to understand it, then he can understand. Then he really gets it. Yeah, sure, God can give us each a light so strong that we won't want to do one wrong thing the rest of our lives, because with the reality, the truth will be so clear. Sure. But we'll still be the sick, addicted, person with our negative habits and selfishness as we were before. Because it never came from us. It was all from above. So then, why even give us the taste in the beginning? Why? Why not just let us work in the darkness and then give us Mount Sinai? Why do we need that initial 10 plagues and the crossing of the sea? Why do we need that awareness and that clarity that he gives us in the beginning?
Something to refer to.
Why do we need the honeymoon phase? What?
You need to refer to, remind you.
Exactly. Because imagine that guy who's super wealthy and has everything money can buy. If he never felt dark, if he never felt that need of his soul screaming out for its own nourishment, you could be 1,000 pounds eating 10 steaks a meal and be completely empty inside, because your soul is like, you haven't fed me once. I'm dying here to do a favor for one person. You never let me do it. You're so selfish. You don't give me the little food I need. So Hashem in His infinite love gives us that light in the beginning, exactly like you said. That at least we'll remember, oh my God, there is so much more to me than what I'm able to do on the computer. There is something so much greater within me than I can ever put into words. And many people, unfortunately, it's only when they've been stripped of their identity and stripped, like people in the Holocaust. Like there's this big atheist who said, I'm a big atheist. I was a big atheist before the Holocaust, and I've been a big atheist after the Holocaust. But during the Holocaust, we all believed in God. Because at that moment when your body is so stripped, all you have is your soul. And unfortunately, sadly, honestly, sometimes we're so desensitized, the only way Hashem can show us a taste of something more of our own soul is by shaking us up. So we need that taste in the beginning, that light, that beauty, that clarity, to always remember what it can be. And remember, even if it's dark right now, even though it's so hard for me to get you flowers on a busy Friday, for your wife, or even if it's hard to be selfless right now when you want this so much but she wants something else, even though it's so hard, you know that there was a honeymoon and you guys loved each other. And you know that in the end, you're going to come to love her, not for yourself, but for her alone. And in the end, in our spiritual growth, we're not going to be so high for selfishness because we feel good, but because we've internalized it, it's real for us. And the last point is that it's so easy, and this is where so many marriages that we know, unfortunately, get broken, that as soon as that initial light goes away, they think, oh, I don't love my wife anymore. We fell out of love. We fell in love and we fell out of love, right? It was never them. They never worked at it. They never internalized it. They never made it a part of themselves. So of course they're falling out. Because it was always about them to begin with. So this teaching is, just because it's dark, just because it's hard, doesn't mean you're far away. It means that now God believes in you so much that He can even make it hard for you, and He still knows you'll make it. And that's the Omer. So I just want to end with one story. I went home today after work, and I'm in the elevator, and I see this elderly guy that lives on the same floor as me, 2 apartments over, and And I saw mezuzah on his door once, so I know he's Jewish. But like, he doesn't seem religious at all, you know? And I was talking to him in the elevator, and I'm like, he's like, where have you traveled to, whatever. I was like he was like making small talk with me. And I told him, asked him, where's the best place you traveled to? And he said, well, why don't you come into my apartment and we'll sit for a few minutes and we'll talk. So I was like, awesome, you know. So I went, I sat down with him, and he's telling me he was 90 years old. Like he looks like he's 75 almost, you know. It's like thank God. And at the end, we're talking about spirituality for a few moments, and I told him that I wanted to share a story with him. And this is the story I told him. We all know of the Kotzker Rebbe. The holy Kotzker Rebbe, the Rebbe of Kotzk, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotzk. It's perfect timing. This is like, you know, like on the Oscars when they're like, okay, it's time to go off stage, you know? It's like what they're trying to say. I'm like, yeah. The Iron Sheik like doesn't give up. So the Kotzker Rebbe was known for his unwavering truth. It was so strong. So, wow, this is gewalt. The miniot, huh? So when he was 5 years old, they asked him, they said, Mendele, we hear you're a smart kid. Tell us, where is God? 5-year-old Kotzker Rebbe looks at them in the face and he says, God is wherever you let him in. Rabbi Nachman says, our spirituality, holiness, it's like the sun. It's like a huge mountain in front of you, but because of a little coin on your nose, you can't see the great mountain. Because you're so preoccupied with what's happening right here, you don't have that big awareness. So anyway, this is the Kotzker Rebbe. It's a short story, don't worry. His son-in-law was the Sokachov Rebbe. He became the Rebbe of Sokachov. And at 14 years old, okay, to be the Kotzker Rebbe's son-in-law is no easy thing. At 14 years old, he was the biggest genius, biggest scholar. He knew every Torah book back and forth fluently. He was amazing. He was perfect. And all of a sudden, he gets married to the Kotzker Rebbe's daughter at 14. A few months later, all of a sudden, he's on his deathbed. So the father is so distraught. He runs to the Kotzker Rebbe. He's like, Rebbe, your son-in-law, my son is sick. I don't know what's happening. The doctors say he's not going to make it. I mean, a couple more days, he's done. We don't know what to do. Please pray for him. You know, he's the biggest scholar in the world. He's learned so much Torah day and night. He knows every Torah in the world. Please pray for him. Kotzker Rebbe looks at him, spits on the floor. It's like, you call that learning? You call that Torah? He doesn't know the first thing about Torah. He says, okay, fine. He was like, how could the Kotzker Rebbe say this? I'm trying to find good points. They should pray for him. He says, okay, fine. But do you know he's the greatest son in the world? He gives everything of his time, of his energy, anything we need. Me and my wife are like treated like gods, like kings and queens to him. He's the most amazing with serving his parents, respecting and honoring his parents. Please pray for him. Kotzker Rebbe looks at him, call that honoring your parents. He doesn't know the first thing about honoring your parents. He hasn't begun to honor his parents. Kotzker, like his father, every good thing he does, the Kotzker Rebbe smashes it down, and the guy runs out crying, thinking that this is the end. His son is gonna go in a few hours. A few hours later, the son he's not still alive. 1 day later, 2 days later, all of a sudden, the Sokachover wakes up and he's completely healthy. Completely healthy. And everyone's so happy, it's incredible. They're saying, L'chaim, L'chaim, L'chaim. And he says, my dad, did you ever go to my Rebbe? Did you ever go to my father-in-law? Did you ever go to the Kotzker Rebbe this time while I was sick? And dad's like, look, I didn't want to say anything, but I don't want to put you in bad blood with him. But the truth is, yeah, I did. I said, you're the biggest genius, you learn so much Torah, you're the sweetest, you're the kindest, you're the most selfless. And every time I brought a good point, he smashed you down, he knocked you off. The sucker chover smiles, such a smile, like one corner of the world to the other, and he's like, oh my God, my father-in-law is the greatest. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, we come to this world to work on ourselves, to refine ourselves, to fix ourselves. And in heaven, they looked at me and look, he's a 14-year-old perfect boy, the perfect Jewish son. He's done. He's accomplished. He's finished his fixing in this world. He's done his fixing in this world. It's time to take him home. It's time to take him back to heaven. It's time for him to die. It's time for him to die. So when you went to the Kotzker Rebbe, every time you tried to bring a good point, he said no. He hasn't even begun his fixing. He has so much more to do in the world. And in heaven, they're like, okay, if he has so much more to do, we got to put him back to life and let him do it. So I told him the story. This guy, and this holy 90-year-old Jew, and I blessed him. I said, I know you've done so much in this world, and I know that you. And I bless you that you should have so many more things to work on.
Amen.
I bless you to never be old, and I bless you that you should have many, many more years to work on all the many things you still have to do in this world. And I want to bless each of you, be'emet, from the bottom of my heart. Don't be scared when you find darkness in your life. Don't think, oh, the light is gone, I have so many things to work on, I'm so far from where I want to be. That's just the biggest sign that you're so meant to still be here. That you still have so much more to do. That Hashem still believes in you so much. And as the Chafetz Chaim said, as long as the candle is still burning, there's still fixing to be done. L'chaim, l'chaim. One niggin for the road, and then we're gonna light up a hookah, whoever wants to stay. Okay, I'm gonna do the same song because maybe we'll be able to sing it together this time. Hookah time.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Thanks, bro.
You killed it.